the rest of your problem set. Now, here is what we did together. If you flip it over, it brings you to a page that looks like this. Now, the first problem, number 2, first problem on this page, says in the table only the products on the diagonal are shown. Label each product on the diagonal. So you're going to put the product or the answer in each of these boxes. Okay? Then it says, draw an array to match the expression in the table below. So they're talking about this table now. Then label the number of squares you added to make each new array. The first 2 arrays have been done for you. Okay, so here is our problem. Here are our factors. 1 times 1 gives me how many squares? 1. The next problem, our factors are 2 times 2. My product is 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to kind of imagine on this chart, here's my 1 times 1 square. Here is my 2 times 2 block. Okay, now we're kind of imagining that these are built on top of each other. Okay, so I've got 2 times 2 right here, and 1 times 1 is kind of hiding one little square from that. That's how I'm envisioning this. Now, if I look back down here, I see that I have 1 square, and then I went to 4. How many squares did I add to make my 2 times 2 product? I added 3 squares. I had 1, now I have 4, I added 3. So let's look at 3 times 3. Here's 3 times 3. We know that 3 times 3 is 9. Very good. So I have 9 squares. So you need to draw 9 squares. Now, how many did I add to get from 4 to 9? How many did I add to get from 4 squares to 9 squares? You're going to put your answer right here on the line. I went from 4 squares to 9 squares. How many did I add? Your answer goes on the line. Okay, so that's it for that page. Now let's talk about this last page. Let me scoop this in so you guys can see it a little better. Now, these questions are based on this page. Okay, so my first question says, what pattern did you notice in the number of squares that are added to each new array? So down here, what pattern did you notice as you were adding squares to each new array? That's what it's asking. What pattern did you notice as you added squares to each new array? The last question, use the pattern you discovered in part B to prove this. 9 times 9 is the sum of the first 9 odd numbers. Guess what? This is another bonus problem. This is a tricky problem I want you to try, but it's tough. I understand if you have a little hard time. We'll talk about it during math groups at 10:30. Let me read it again. Use the pattern you discovered in part B. Down here, this is part B. This chart. Use the pattern you discovered in part B to prove this. 9 times 9 is the sum of the first 9 odd numbers. Okay, see if you can prove that. I'm only going to have you spend maybe a minute and a half on this one. If you don't get it, totally okay. Just give it a little try, and then we'll talk about it in math groups.